Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the
Unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
the People's Channel?
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good evening. I'm Christopher Hope, and this is State of the Nation. I'm not Jacob Rees-Mogg. He's away at the moment. Coming up next, Reform UK has unveiled its plan to crack down on crime and restore law and order. I'll be joined with the woman of the moment, tipped to be the next Reform Home Secretary, Sarah Poachin, about her announcement earlier today. I'll be joined by the Labour MP for Blackpool, Chris Webb, as some shocking revelations have emerged over the weekend about the town's Metropole Hotel, which is being used allegedly for asylum accommodation and other things too. Could have a proposed Labour Islamophobia definition prove literally fatal for this government? We'll be showing you my interview with the man behind the policy. Plus, could it be a free speech victory for Christian preachers? I'll be joined by a pastor at the centre of a free speech row after a local council backed down on its ban of street preaching. State of the Nation starts right now. I'm also joined on my panel by Reform UK MP for Runcorn and Helsby, Sarah Poachin. Sarah, welcome. Also joined by the former Labour MP, Stephen Pound, Poundy to his friends. Now it's time for the news with my old pal, Mark White.
Not that I have any.
Good evening. The main headlines from the GB News Centre. A man accused of attacking a police officer during an altercation at Manchester Airport says it wasn't his intention to strike the officer. Mohammed Ahmad was giving evidence at Liverpool Crown Court. Mr Ahmad and his brother Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz are on trial accused of assaulting 3 Greater Manchester police officers as they attempted to arrest them in July last year. Both men from Rochdale deny allegations of assault, while GB News reporter Jack Carson was in court.
Giving evidence today, Mr Ahmad said it was not his intention to attack a police officer at Manchester Airport in July last year. He said when officers initially entered the pay station area and grabbed his brother's neck, he was trying to de-escalate the situation. He denied claims from the prosecution that he was trying to intervene in his brother's arrest, and he said in his account when he felt a bang to the face, he had no choice but to defend himself. The trial here at Liverpool Crown Court continues.
The Foreign Secretary has accused the Israeli government of tarnishing the reputation of Israel by continually ignoring calls to end the war in Gaza. David Lammy addressed the comments in the wake of claims at least 93 Palestinians were killed while queuing for food on Sunday. The UN World Food Programme has alleged its convoy came under fire from the IDF. The Israeli military has denied firing on civilians. Mr Lammy also announced an additional £40 million in humanitarian assistance for Gaza. Police searching for a missing mother in Cheshire have discovered a body in a local lake. 38-year-old Rachel Booth disappeared from the Northwich area over the weekend. She was last seen on CCTV at a petrol station in the early hours of Saturday morning. Police say a body was found in a lake near a popular beauty spot in the Oakmere area of Delamere. A spokesperson said there are not believed to be any suspicious circumstances. At least 19 people have been killed and 164 injured in Bangladesh after a military jet crashed into a school campus. Emergency services are still searching the rubble around the Milestone School in the capital Dhaka. The Bangladeshi Armed Forces have confirmed the F-7 jet experienced a mechanical fault after taking off on a training exercise. An Albanian people smuggler has been jailed for attempting to illegally transport fellow Albanians across the English Channel. 44-year-old Bleda Bega was sentenced to 7 years in prison after he orchestrated the smuggling operation. He'd skippered a luxury yacht across the channel when it was intercepted by Border Force in April. As officers searched the yacht, they found 20 Albanian men and 1 woman crammed below deck. And that's it. You're right up to date with the latest headlines from the GB News Centre. Now, the biggest man in politics, yes, it's Christopher Hope.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to State of the Nation with the self-proclaimed biggest man in politics, Christopher Hope. Earlier today, Reform UK announced its campaign launch, saying Britain is lawless, funded by Reform MP for Runcorn and Helsby, Sarah Pochen. But here are my questions to her leader, Nigel Farage, earlier.
There's no need to raise taxes then. You can fund all this through cutting HS2 and net zero. So no tax increases from today's announcement. Is that what you're saying? Did you leave it there when you found out where your family member's phone was in Buckinghamshire? Did you go and knock on the door? Or did you just give up on that one? And just finally, is Sarah Pochen your new shadow Home Secretary?
Right, very, very good. There's no need to raise taxes to do this. There are massive savings we can make. And you'll hear more of that as time goes on. As far as the telephone's concerned, I'm not as brave. I mean, Layla goes off chasing thugs and criminals. But, if you resist, there is a risk. As far as our new girl, Sarah's concerned, she's not yet Shadow Home Secretary, but we're watching her very closely.
Not yet, Shadow Home Secretary. Well, you can watch it very closely because here she joins me now. Sarah Pochen, great to have you here to discuss your plans today. But before I start with you, reading on, Reform's plans to crack down on crime and cut it in half is to deport all foreign criminals and send the most serious offenders to serve time overseas. Here's what Mr Farage...
And there are 10,400 foreign prisoners in our prisons, has been mentioned on this platform already. They will be deported back to their home countries. And I think... I'm in conversation with Edi Rama from Albania, and I think he's rather agreed that he will take back all of the Albanian prisoners in this country, which is rather a good thing. We can send some of our worst violent criminals overseas to serve their terms, then yes. And if that means that Ian Huntley goes to El Salvador, well, our attitude is so be it.
Well, I'm very pleased to be joined now on my panel Reform MP Sarah Pochin, as well as the former Labour MP Stephen Pound. To you first then, Sarah Pochin. You heard there from Nigel Farage. You're being watched now to be a possible Home Secretary if you win the next election. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel that I'm in the right place at the right time. Let's put it that way. This brief is absolutely my brief. I've worked in the court system for 20 years, so I feel like I am well qualified, as I said today, to talk with knowledge and competence about the court systems, about the prison systems, probation, and what we've done today is really give people a taster of what we are going to be rolling out over the next 6 weeks across the summer recess break. We're taking this opportunity to launch our policies on the whole crime agenda, because I don't think anybody would disagree from any political persuasion that there's an awful lot to do when it comes to sentencing, when it comes to arrests, when it comes to the police, when it comes to how we process people.
So 30,000 police officers, 12,500 prison places, fast-track arrest, dynamic prisons, fast-track courts, Nightingale prisons, costing £17.4 billion. Nigel Farage said that won't be funded by tax hikes, all apparently funded from net zero and HS2 savings.
There's all sorts of ways that this can be funded. Let's just take a step back, though. What cannot happen, and what the Labour government have done, in my view, completely irresponsibly, is try and solve the prisons, which are at capacity, or certainly very close to capacity. I think the current situation is about 2,000 places short of capacity. But they've tried to solve that immediate crisis, and it is a crisis, and the Tory government caused that crisis because for 14 years they did not predict and project ahead the prison numbers we would need, and they certainly didn't invest in new prison places. So, yes, there was a crisis in the prisons, but it's absolutely wrong, in my view, to release early, dangerous criminals onto our streets. What we're saying is we have some direction of travel for solutions to this. The first thing is to immediately deport the 10,400 foreign national offenders we currently have in our prisons back to the countries of origin.
And you may receive Brits back from those countries of origin, mightn't you?
Yes, we'd have to do that.
So then you might maybe net off the same.
Well, we don't know the numbers, but the point is we have to move in a direction of travel. The second thing we would do is to create prisons quickly. Let's call them open prisons. That means prisons with less risky offenders in them. So you effectively move prisoners down the line, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They go into an open prison, which may be a fairly quick fix. We can do that. We know we can do that on, say, I don't know, MOD land, whatever it might be. But the point is, you can do this if you have the will to do it.
Can I show you a message on Twitter, on X earlier from Fraser Nelson, the journalist. On there it shows that crime has been falling, trending downwards across all different areas there. Why do you think crime is such an important thing to dominate your policy making at the moment?
Crime is not falling.
Well, it says it is there on that graph.
I would say to you back to that people don't bother anymore to report crimes. You have your mobile phone stolen in any city in the country now. Who bothers to report it?
That's the official stat.
Who bothers to report it? I'm just saying people aren't reporting crime. You know, somebody comes and steals something from your garden shed. Who reports it anymore? You know, antisocial behaviour on the streets. I have so many cases in my constituency about that.
Yeah.
But they don't bother to report it to the police. So the police say to me, oh, you're making this up because we don't have it reported. Yes. Well, people don't bother reporting it because nobody comes out to see them.
Stephen Pound, you're old enough to remember Tony Blair, tough on crime.
Tough on crime,
Tough on the causes of crime. Every new party, young party, comes in with ideas to cut crime, and they all seem to fail. How will reform do you
I have to say that, you know, the way not to succeed is to do what the previous government did, which
is just cut 20,000 police officers and close
Yep,
the prisons. But
absolutely.
look, we've actually got 2 new prisons in construction at the present time. We've got 13,000 new police officers in process of being appointed at the present time. Look, I give credit to Nigel, and I give credit to you, Sarah, because, you know, you are making the point that I think resonates with the people. There's no question at all about that. What worries me is that the attack is very easy to make, because in 4 years' time, there's not going to be money in HS2 to save. If you go for net zero in 4 years' time, 60,000 jobs go out of the window, and we're at the mercy of the Gulf states and Russia when it comes to energy security. However, there's one thing that reform could actually do, because what people throw at you now is to say that, you know, it's just pie in the sky, airy-fairy stuff. You control half a dozen councils, Warwickshire, Lincolnshire, Kent.
Yes.
You could say tomorrow, as the leadership of those councils, here is some land that we could build a prison on. Go to the government, put the ball in the government's court and say, here's the land, we're a reform council, let's build the prison.
Sarah Poach, a good idea there. You've got these 10 councils you control. Why not find some redundant council land?
And do you know what? If there's the right site in any of those locations, then bring it on. You know, if the site is there, the problem that we have at the moment is, of course, we are not in power.
Yes. Well, you are. You are in Kent and Lincolnshire and Warwickshire. You are in power.
I don't know how that relates to actually
in planning. In terms of planning, it does. You are the planning authority.
Well, yes. But what I'm saying is, I don't know how it relates to us fitting into government plans for prison places. What I'm saying.
Exactly.
But in terms of what you're saying, in principle, absolutely. If there's an appropriate site and reform were in power, then yes, we would absolutely, build the prisons on that site.
I don't want to make a rod for my own party's back, but can you imagine if you go to the Home Office and say, here in Lincolnshire, Andrew Jenkins, for example, comes and says, look, here is a site that you can actually start building on tomorrow. The Home Office could not say no.
Stephen, I know that there is no way that this Labour government would work with any reform idea or suggestion. You can see that from the chamber.
How could they not?
Well, you would think so.
Stephen Pound, pause that thought. Nigel Farage said today, didn't he, how he wants higher and tougher standards of policing. Some are saying that's anti-female police officers. Is that right? What would he mean by that?
No, I think let's just take a step back for that. The first thing that we need, and I think everybody would agree with this, is, and Stephen's just said the same, more police on the streets. OK, people want to see police on the streets, but people want to see policing in a totally impartial way. They don't want to see police, dancing with the Notting Hill Carnival or dressing up in, I don't know, woke flags, whatever it is, pride flags and all that nonsense.
Policemen.
They just want people to be policemen.
Male or female?
Male or female. Okay. There's a position for both male and female police officers. There's no question about that. I think the point that we were making is let's bring back some hardcore policemen as opposed to all this DEI nonsense. You know, people want to see strong, tough police on the streets.
Sorry, Stephen, we're on a break now, Stephen. We've got to come back after the break.
Hold that thought.
Stephen Pound, Sarah Poach.
Thank you.
Thank you both. A great chat there. After the break, I'll be speaking to Labour MP Chris Webb about some shocking revelations, allegations from a migrant hotel in his constituency in Blackpool.
Oh, yeah.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now imagine this. You spend your entire life dreaming of public service. You work your way up to become the Director of Public Prosecutions. You then become a Member of Parliament, and just next to your constituency is a world-famous museum hosting
I'm imagining it, Tom.
waxworks of famous figures, and you dream that one day you will be featured in this mausoleum, for want of a better word. You become Prime Minister and you think, now, finally, my waxwork will be on display at the world-famous Madame Tussauds. And then they say no.
And then you find out that Theresa May has one.
Oh.
Yes, so Madame Tussauds, there's Theresa May. There she is in her suit.
Yeah,
she was always one for colourful outfits.
Theresa May has a waxwork there, so does Boris Johnson, of course. It's reasonable to expect the Prime Minister would have thought that he would join the likes of David Cameron, Theresa May and Boris Johnson with a waxwork.
Winston Churchill. Yeah. Winston Churchill has one. Harold Macmillan, apparently, was previously displayed. Tony Blair.
Of course.
Tony Blair, of course. But apparently, so Madame Tussauds can't be sure that he'll still be relevant in 5 years' time. That's the reason.
Is that why they've said it? No.
They can't be sure, so they don't want to put the money into it, presumably.
Wow.
I could imagine Keir Starmer commissioning his own.
And yet, Lord Salisbury had a waxwork, the Marquis of Salisbury, Harold Macmillan and David Lloyd George, of course. But the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland...
Think about this.
...does not have a waxwork because he's not relevant.
A spokesperson told the Metro, "We have no current plans to make a figure of the British Prime Minister."
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, a report over the weekend has revealed some shocking allegations against migrants who are being housed at the Metropole Hotel in Blackpool. The Sun newspaper reported it was told by a former manager of the hotel that 2 migrants were caught making allegedly pornographic films. The report also stated that 2 were moved along and received no further punishment. One man who was incensed by these allegations and has been lobbying the government against the use of the Metropole Hotel for housing migrants is the Labour MP for Blackpool South, Chris Webb, who I caught up with earlier this afternoon.
Chris Webb, MP for Blackpool South, thank you for joining us tonight on State of the Nation. The Blackpool Metropole Hotel, it's 240 years old. It looks iconic. Apparently it is iconic. Have you stayed there before?
I haven't stayed there before, but the reason I'm alive is because of that hotel. My mum moved to Blackpool in the 80s to become a redcoat there. When she moved to Blackpool, she met my dad, and here I am today.
Blimey. And for the past, well, it now houses, of course, migrants. It was meant to do so on a 3-month solution under the Tory government. 4 years later, they're still there.
Yeah. So back in 2021, when the then Conservative government put the asylum seekers in the Metropole Hotel, myself, the council and many others voiced our objection to it. It was the wrong place. Blackpool has already seen huge deprivation under the Tories because of austerity. Whilst we will always take our fair share of those fleeing war and persecution, I believed it wasn't the town to put these sorts of people with the complex needs that they have.
It's a dumping on Blackpool, isn't it? It seems to me, out of sight, out of mind. You're the MP, you're raising the issue, but down here, people almost shrug their shoulders, don't they?
Residents across Blackpool felt they were being forgotten about under the previous government. Since I've become the MP, I've voiced their concerns countless times on your podcast, on GB News, in Parliament and with the Minister. And I've just done so a few hours before today in the Chamber, asking for urgent questions about the recent reports we've had over the weekend.
These reports are alarming. Well, they sound like there's allegedly pornographic videos being made for online consumption using asylum seekers in these videos.
So it's been alleged that we've had an incident where 2 of those individuals staying in the hotel last year were caught allegedly making OnlyFans videos. Now, this is only allegedly. This wasn't reported to the Home Office at the time, I'm told. So we've now got to have an urgent investigation into this. I've called for that. I've written to the Minister. I've raised it in the Commons today, and I've been reassured that this will be urgently investigated, which is the right thing to do.
Because it offends against, well, decency, and also people are communities are opening their hotels up to people who need support, and this is how they're behaving, well, allegedly.
We've got safety concerns, we've got safeguarding issues. How did they get this equipment? Were they being put up to it? But also, you're absolutely right. People are here to get safe haven. They are claiming asylum. They're going through the process. We don't expect those individuals to be filming pornographic videos in our hotel.
Locally, are people complaining? Are there any marches or demonstrations at the hotel?
No, I've had a number of constituents, friends, family get in touch with me about these headlines. It's my job to investigate, to get to the truth and to make sure my residents know exactly what's gone on in their town.
But it's depressing, isn't it? I mean, we are told that all these asylum hotels will be emptied by 2029. That must include the Blackpool Metropole.
Yep, it does, and that's the right move. We know we inherited, you know, the borders were a mess. We lost control under the Conservatives. We've been cleaning up that mess. They were wasting millions a day in asylum hotels, not actually doing the hard work of processing them. That's what we're doing. It's tough. We're not going to solve this problem overnight, but we're getting on with the hard job of processing those, making deals with our European partners to ensure we've got a deterrent that sends them back when they come to our shores illegally.
The worry now must be in all those B&Bs in Blackpool, they'll be moved from the Metropole into B&Bs or houses of multiple occupation.
So I've raised these concerns with the Home Office again because of my constituents and concerns that I have as a resident. I've been told no other hotels will be used for asylum seekers, and I've been given assurances that no more increases in the housing, approximately 66 in a minute, will be used by Serco in Blackpool. That may change in the future, but I've given assurances now there is no plans to increase that by the Home Office or Serco.
So that's B&Bs and HMOs in Blackpool?
So you've got properties by private landlords, 66, and the Metropole, no other B&Bs.
Big worry though, isn't it? Because this number is going up. We see daily, don't we, those numbers coming across our southern border. Not enough, it takes time to process them. Other asylum seekers are in the queue as well. It takes a long time to do it lawfully within the ECHR.
It is. We inherited a huge backlog. You know, we're not getting away from that. We've got to get on with the hard job of processing them as quickly as possible, getting as many of those appeals in the courts as quickly as possible so that we can process them. So if they have no right to remain, they're returned home. If they do, they go into society, they get their own accommodation, work, pay taxes and blend into our society in towns and cities across this country.
Yes, and that's a good thing if they're legitimate. Yep. If they're not legitimate, that's part of the problem. Yep. You look at Reform UK, they're announcing plans to deal with criminality and send foreign criminals out this country. They're going to obviously ignore the European Convention on Human Rights. That's their policy. Are you jealous of the way they've got a freer hand to deal with these entrenched issues?
Absolutely not. We're getting on with this. So in Blackpool, we've committed to a police officer in every ward and PCSO. That's what I pledged to do as the Member of Parliament. We delivered that last week. More support and safer streets in the South Shore area of my constituency. 13,000 new neighbourhood police, guaranteed by the end of this Parliament, fully costed. These pie-in-the-sky policies Reform are saying it's easy for them, they're in opposition. We're getting on with the job of being in government and tackling crime and putting more police on the beat.
You know about this, you were Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for Lancashire, 2018 to 2021. They want to bring 30,000 police over 5 years onto our streets. You know, they want to, I say, deport 10,000, halve crime rates. These are big offerings, aren't they, for a party not in government and never been in government?
But they're not serious policies. You know, I have to push back on that.
Well, they sound serious to me.
Well, anyone can make serious policies and put pie-in-the-sky figures. For us, we're getting on with the hard job of delivering. We're already seeing that. We've seen new officers on the beat in Blackpool and across Lancashire. When I was Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner, we got outstanding for resources and use of efficiencies. We've shown, from my example, from the Police and Crime Commissioner then, who is now, what we can do with the money from government about getting more bobbies on the beat. We launched action groups across the town. I'll be joining some of them soon to crack down on crime. That's the real job of getting on with this government.
Well, just over a year of you being in power, you being an MP for Blackpool South, how are you finding it? Is it been harder than you expect? How many marks out of 10 would you give your government?
So I got in a few weeks before, as you know, from my by-election. You know, it's been an adjustment with family at home, with the job, but I've relished it. I've really made a big difference for my town, getting millions and millions of pounds record funding into mine. We've got a job to do. It's not going to be easy.
It's delivery, isn't it?
That's it. And that's what we've been doing in Blackpool. We've secured 30 million for homes in Blackpool. You know, record investment as a town and local services. We're really delivering for my town, putting extra GPs, extra doctors and extra bobbies on the beat. But things will take time. It's only been a year. To undo 14 years of austerity will take us a bit longer than any of us want. We're all desperate for change. We're desperate to make a difference in our towns. We're getting on with it. But all we're asking for the country is to bear with us whilst we turn the country around.
But some of your colleagues are rebelling in Parliament, aren't they, over issues? We've seen the benefit cuts and the like, which didn't go through in the end. What's your advice to them?
Only a Labour government will deliver change. It's about coming together as a Labour government for this country, delivering what we promised on that manifesto. I've had my issues, you know that, we've spoken about on winter fuel, and on the second reading I voted against the welfare cuts, but we're now delivering. We need to come together because the alternative is the Tories in chaos and Reform offering anything they want because they're not backing it up with real policies.
Blackpool Metropole, it'll be empty of asylum seekers by 2029, yes or no?
Yes, and I'm hoping it'll be even sooner.
Should we go and stay there, Chris?
I think I'll take you for an ice cream and fish and chips on the front, but you're always welcome at mine.
Chris Webb, Labour MP for Blackpool South, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Chris Webb there. Now, a spokesman for the Home Office said this: "These are dreadful allegations which we are urgently investigating. While most people comply with the rules, our contractors must maintain order and immediately report any issues. Cases of illegal working, including online antisocial behaviour or safeguarding breaches, can lead to support being cut." Thanks again to Chris Webb, MP of Blackpool South. Now, moving on, could Labour's Islamophobia definition prove to be a fatal decision that could hand Reform UK a 100-seat majority? Find out in a moment.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hi there. It's hot and sunny across the vast majority of the Mediterranean at the moment. 1 or 2 showers in the north and fairly breezy across the Canary Islands and also Madeira. This northeasterly wind is bringing in a bit more in the way of cloud as well. Hot and sunny though for Iberia, most of Italy as well. Just 1 or 2 showers up towards Croatia and Slovenia. But for Greece and Turkey, hot and sunny, temperatures into the mid-30s. So do remember that sunscreen. And as we go through the next few days, it stays very similar.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening. It's time for your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, there will be some heavy rain across western parts of Scotland in particular. Elsewhere, a few bursts of showers, but also some dry weather to be had. Currently, low pressure firmly in control of our weather, which is why it's been quite an unsettled day, and it will stay in charge of our weather through the next couple of days as well. As I said, across western Scotland, that's where we're going to see the heaviest rain as we go overnight. Some high rainfall totals building up, perhaps as much as 70 millimetres in some places, so there could be some disruption. Also cloud and rain down the western side of England and Wales. Further east, some drier, clearer weather, but for all it is going to be a relatively warm night. Temperatures generally holding up in those mid-teens Celsius. As we start tomorrow then, across western areas, it's quite cloudy with some damp weather on offer. Though across parts of the southwest of England, some brighter spells. Sunnier though across eastern parts of England, and some brighter breaks developing across parts of Northern Ireland, but across much of Wales, northwest England and large chunks of Scotland, it's a cloudy, it's a damp start to the day, the exception being just towards the far east and northeast. Now, the heaviest rain across western Scotland, that will have started to ease by the time that we get to tomorrow morning. But nonetheless, some further wet weather is on offer as we go through much of the day, breaking up a little bit as we go into the afternoon. Elsewhere, it's quite a cloudy picture for many. Even in the east, after a bright sunny morning, it's going to turn cloudier with some showery bursts arriving. Because of the cloud, although temperatures on paper are similar to today, it's probably going to feel a little bit fresher for many of us. Looking ahead to Wednesday and eastern parts of England, perhaps even in the southeast, there could be some heavy bursts of rain pushing their way in. Elsewhere, a bit drier, but some showers around here and there. And then a drier theme as we go towards the end of the week. And with that, after a bit of a fresher feel during the middle part of the week, temperatures should rise again. Bye-bye.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to the former Conservative Attorney General, Dominic Grieve, about his review into the Islamophobia definition. Here's what he told us.
We will not introduce some blasphemy law to protect religion, whether it's Islam or anything else, by the back door, and nor will it have any impact on the recurrent laws in relation to freedom of expression under law. There is an issue surrounding freedom of expression as against the desire of many Muslims to have some kind of definition which provides a measure of a framework which may help protect them, because they're undoubtedly at the moment the victims of really unpleasant anti-Muslim hatred. You know, respectable lady travelling with a headscarf on the bus will get casual abuse. And this is driving a wedge in our society that is, in my view, very dangerous. We are there to operate within that framework, and some of the stuff I'm reading about this is just, excuse my saying it, garbage.
Dominic Grieve there. Well, some shocking new polling has suggested that if Labour were to implement this definition, it would hand Reform UK a 100-seat majority. While Labour are currently polling on 23% to Reform was 29%, when assuming that the definition was implemented, Reform gained 1% and Labour lost 2%, taking a 20-seat majority to 100. And they're joined by the Labour activist Aisha Ali Khan. Aisha, welcome again to the show. Great to see you. Do you think are these concerns well placed about this idea of a backdoor blasphemy law?
Well, I just listened to what Dominic Grieve had to say, and I absolutely agree with what he said. There's no way that the new definition of Islamophobia is going to allow blasphemy through the back door. Absolutely not. Tonight, I myself have been, campaigner and activist for many years for, our freedom of speech, the ability to speak and not be afraid of saying what we want to say. And I've seen what happens, blasphemy laws in countries like my home country, Pakistan, as well. So there's no way that we're going to allow this idea that we can't criticize Muslims and we can't speak out against any crimes that are being committed by Muslims. And I think that's something that we need to really reinforce, which is your poll has suggested that the people that support reform are against this new definition because they are genuinely afraid that this is what's going to happen. We will get this new definition codified into law and then suddenly we won't be able to speak out. I would be right at the front speaking out against any person, whether they're Muslim or not, who are committing crime or harming anybody else.
But Aisha, would it mean, though, that people can't criticise Muslim people, they can't raise maybe the grooming gang scandal, and why is not any similar protections for Christian people?
Well, just on the point of the grooming gang scandal, this has been going on for many years. I'm from a town called Keighley up north near Bradford, and we've seen this. I saw this firsthand. My own friends, when I was at school, were being groomed, and there was just such a deafening silence. And when I became a teacher myself, and I saw this again happening 20 years later, and since then I've just been so vocal about this because at the end of the day, if you speak to the victims, if you speak to people who were trying to raise awareness at the time, it wasn't the fear of appearing racist or, the fear of appearing Islamophobic that was stopping people from doing anything about these grooming gangs. It was just because they just did not want to do anything about it. And I talk about the police, I talk about social services, I'm talking about even the schools where young girls were being picked up right outside the school gates. Nobody did anything, and it was allowed to carry on for many, many years. And ultimately, the perpetrators are responsible. They are the criminals, whether they're Muslim or not. They need to be in prison. They need to be held to account. But also the fact that they were enabled to continue for so long. That's an issue that we need to address. And by by trying to say, oh no, we can't have this definition because suddenly we won't be able to speak out. That's untrue. I speak out about it. So many people are speaking out about it, and it's not going to silence any of us.
Aisha, thank you for joining us tonight on State of the Nation. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, before I ask for my panel's views on Islamophobia and maybe a definition, this evening at 9 p.m. is Patrick Chris's Tonight. It's a very special show, isn't it, Patrick?
It is. Christopher, thank you very much. Tremendous show at your end. So I am here in Calais at the moment, well, Sangatte to be precise. Now, earlier on, we have been tracking down human traffickers. So we've been giving them a taste of their own medicine. Now, we also went to a warehouse full of illegal migrants, and this is one of the things that happened. All right, it's decided to kick off a little bit. OK. All right. Hey, look, we just want to have a conversation with you, that's all. Yes, and it's been a very busy day for us as well, as this clip illustrates. Some people say that maybe you are, in a way, like helping the human traffickers. Do you feel like maybe you are helping the human traffickers at all? We tried to do a few things. We wanted to track down and identify the human traffickers and hand their details over to French police. We also really wanted to maybe highlight some of the so-called charity work that some people are doing. Is it charity work or is it really aiding and abetting human traffickers? But anyway, 9 to 11 p.m, Christopher, this is the place to be.
I'll be tuning in. Thank you and well done you. Now I'm joined here back in London by my panel, Reform UK MP Sarah Pochin and former Labour MP Stephen Pound. Sarah Pochin, back to you very quickly there. Islamophobia, that definition. Would a Reform government repeal it, drop it altogether if it is brought in before you get into power?
Absolutely. This is a Christian country. What on earth are we doing bringing in this sort of blasphemy law by the back door? And that is what it is, because I tell you, I spend a lot of time talking about grooming gangs, talking about the sexual violence against women of people from a sort of Islamic, culture. It is evidential. It is fact. That won't be allowed to happen if Angela Rayner is allowed to bring this law in.
OK. Stephen Pound, why is Labour doing this?
The Labour Party's been tearing itself to pieces over this. We've been tying ourselves up in knots for years to try to do it. I've got a real problem with this, because as far as I'm concerned, if you get attacked because you're wearing a crucifix or a skull cap, or a hijab, that is a crime. It's a public order crime. Now, I think Reform are in an interesting position on this, because you're quite, at the moment it's you're poaching, but you're going to be a gamekeeper before too long, and you're going to have to actually legislate on this. I think the problem is that the Labour Party is desperately trying to do the right thing, and by trying to do the right thing, they're actually making the situation worse.
So that definition, according to a report back in 2018 in Parliament, is this. Islamophobia is rooted in racism and is a type of racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. Now, that's important because Dominic Grieve mentioned there a woman in a hijab getting abuse on a bus. That's got to stop, he said.
Look, the fact is, Chris, we are Britain, Great Britain. We are a Christian country. Can you imagine a situation, that interview you did there with Aisha, I think a Pakistani lady, can you imagine the Pakistani government bringing in a law to protect anyone that says anything bad about Christianity? Absolutely not. What are we doing in this country? We are not putting the British people first.
Stephen Pound.
Look, can we simply not use the existing legislation? I mean, you're a magistrate, you're a senior magistrate. You know a lot more about the law than I do. Can we not use existing public order legislation to deal with these things? They're talking about things like that, about blaming Muslims for what's happening, around the world. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, I've got a lot of time for Angela Rayner. She's a good person. Her heart's in the right place. But I think that the Labour Party is just tying itself up in knots over this.
Can I say one more thing? I think, and you'll probably say, well, you're going to say that, I think the Labour Party is desperate to keep its Muslim vote.
I think we're losing it every day.
And I think that's why. Because something like this is an attempt to keep some of that Muslim vote, which they need to keep them in power.
And you're losing it, why again, Stephen Pound?
Well, mostly because of Gaza. Don't forget, they're independent, and those independent Muslim MPs, all of them took
very dangerous.
All of them took their seats from Labour.
Very, very dangerous.
In your first statement in PMQ's Prime Minister's Questions, you said you want to ban the burqa, right?
Yes.
You still believe that?
Absolutely. I don't regret that question for a moment, for two reasons. It's about misogyny against women, which there is no place for in this society, in our society. And the second thing is it's about public protection and security. All face masks, and I did widen my point to all face masks. Obviously, when you're delivering your first PMQs, you want to drop a grenade, don't you, and get
Make the
noticed.
point.
Yeah, but it is about
I just wanted to get out alive.
It's about all face masks. It's about giving the police the opportunity to offer us the protection we need on the streets.
And what feedback have you had after you made that intervention?
Such support.
Really?
Such
Universal?
support.
No one's offended by it? Because some people were offended by it.
The only people that are offended by it are the likes of Keir Starmer, who was so shocked by that question that he didn't know how to answer it.
But would you object to people wearing skull caps, or, you know, or Jewish women who wear wigs?
No, because that's not face. It's about it's about obscuring your face.
So is it about physical obscuration rather than religious identification?
When it comes to public protection, yes.
So
when it comes
nothing whatever to do with Islam.
Hold on, no. But when it comes to women and women's rights and misogyny in this country, there's no place for that in this country. And it was also about integration. So people say, complain about we're not integrating. Well, if you dress head to toe like that, and you can't, of course you're never going to integrate.
But by raising it, aren't you stoking division as well?
Absolutely not. We are raising the debate, and let's not forget that I think it's 12 other countries in Europe and other, like places like Kazakhstan, surprising places, have banned the burqa. Why aren't we looking at this?
All my teachers at school wore headscarves, but they were nuns.
Yes, well, that's different.
Is it?
And you've turned out all right.
When you were a magistrate, did you ask face coverings to be removed when you were in court?
If anybody had ever... They didn't, but if anybody had ever come into my court with a full face covering, all proceedings would have been stopped until that face covering was removed. And if I'd have lost my job as a magistrate over that, I would have stood by it.
Well, Jack Straw, if you remember, famously refused to actually talk to a constituent who came in wearing...
Quite right to. Quite right to. And I would do the same. In my constituency, if someone comes into a surgery fully covered, I'm sorry, I am not having that meeting.
Even
I want
now?
to... Even now.
But that's they might say that's against our religious position.
Then I've got no time to see you.
But the thing is, you can't have a passport photograph wearing a full... So what's the difference?
Exactly.
This
is not our country. Our country is about openness and transparency. It's not about face
I'm more about practicalities. If somebody turns up with a passport and all you can see is their eyes, what value is that passport? Similarly, if somebody comes to my surgery or your surgery and you can't see who they are, or takes a driving test, or actually takes the English language test, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen Pound, going back to this definition, this report's out in the autumn. Dominic Greaves producing it. It's going to be a big deal, this definition, isn't it?
Well, of course it is. Dominic Greaves is a marvellous... I mean, he's
a former Tory. Might be Tory now, but...
Well, I have to say he's more left-wing than me.
He's a wet Tory, isn't he?
Well, no, he's very interesting. He's actually brought up in France, and he has a very interesting...
How will
that explains a lot.
How will it be received, this definition?
No, I think once the lawyers actually get stuck into it, they'll have a look and say, well, hang on a second, this is the slippery slope, the old... Is it going to widen? How far is it going? And your point is, do you think it'll actually placate some of the Muslim voters in this country? Oh, no, it won't.
Sarah Potion, final...
It just opens up more woke left-wing lawyers, human rights lawyers. For goodness sake, we've got to put a stop to all of this.
And how to enforce it, wait and see. Right, listen, Reform UK MP Sarah Potion, former Labour MP Stephen Powell, thank you both.
Current Tory.
After the break, is Christianity in decline? Is it in need of renewal? I'll be talking about those very issues to a pastor who has just won a landmark free speech case. Stay tuned.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Now for tonight's final segment, we wanted to ask if Christianity is in a state of decline in this country and in need, therefore, of renewal. Well, here was Tory MP Danny Kruger in the House of Commons last week addressing an empty chamber.
And a new restoration is needed now, a revival of the faith, a recovery of Christian politics, a refounding of this nation on the teachings that Alfred made the basis of the common law of England all those centuries ago. This is a mission for the Church, under its next leader, whoever that is. It's a mission for this place, this old chapel, which became the wellspring of Western democracy, and for us, its members. And it's a mission for our whole country, the route to a prosperous modernity, founded on respect for human dignity, responsibility for the created world, and the worship of God.
Danny Kruger there with a very serious and important, I think, speech in the House of Commons. My next guest has a thing or two to say on this question, as his group has just had a street preaching ban in Hillingdon, West London, overturned after local council was taken to court in what they claimed was a breach of their right to a free speech. I'm joined now by Pastor Babatene Balagan, who leads the Kingsborough Centre in Hillingdon. Pastor Balagan, it's great to have you here. What happened?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a good question, and it's good to be with you here tonight and to share this time. But it all started. It was a regular prayer meeting that we're having. We normally have it on a Friday evening, and just before we go out on a Saturday to do outreach at the town centre. And we were praying, and a lady in the prayer meeting mentioned that she got to hear about an information being circulated around that street preaching was going to be outlawed. In fact, there was already a plan to outlaw it, and we only have a few days that she just heard about it from somewhere, and she couldn't corroborate on that information. Well, we said, okay, we finished praying, and then the following Monday, we went around digging for information, and we found out that we only had a couple of days before it became a law, because it's been a PSPO that was put out that was going to outlaw street preaching
in the town centre.
In the town centre, and that was going to be a remarkable statement that will totally, of course.
What that would have meant to you, Pastor Balagan, is that you would have been criminalised.
Absolutely.
And risked a fine of £1,000 if you carried on preaching. In your church is well known locally. It was once attended by the Arsenal and England footballer Bukayo Saka. It's well known locally. It's an important church locally.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, we were quite concerned that what we have always done and we know that we're lawfully doing to share the gospel and share the love of Jesus Christ with people in the community was going to become a criminal offense and we will be fined for that. That was very concerning, and we were thinking, what else can we do? And we found out some more information. The more we looked at, the more it was going to be something that we need to really stand and see what to do about it.
And this was brought in by Conservative government, Anti-Social Behaviour Crime and Policing Act 2014. It was PSPO legislation. I mean, this surely is not what it was intended for.
I mean, it was a public space protection order that it was called, and it was meant to outlaw antisocial crime and behavior in the town centre by YOBs and all that. Yeah. But we found it very concerning that sharing the love with our neighbours was going to be termed as antisocial offence and crime, and that was very
Well, the council said it's misleading to suggest it was a ban on sharing Christian beliefs or censorship. They say this PSPO applied to everyone, not just Christian preaching groups, and was meant to address concerns about the appropriate use of amplification equipment and concerns about leafleting and unauthorised pop-up displays. So clearly they're trying to go after people bothering other people in the street, and your church was caught up in that.
And I think that is the downside of it, which was it would have been well taken care of if there was due consultation, which was what we were asking for. Yeah. There was no consultation, there was no letter, there was no email, there was nothing to suggest that what we have always done every week, week in, week out, was going to become outlawed. And we found out just by mistake, and it was necessary for us to challenge this.
Well, Pastor Ballaghan, well done, and you'll be on the streets again in Hillingdon.
Well, we were still there last Saturday, and this Saturday we're going to be there again, because this challenge has really helped us to emphasize and put our foot down firmly to say that sharing the love with our neighbours is not a crime, and we can continue to do that.
It really shouldn't be a crime. It really shouldn't be a crime in this country. And what's your advice to other street preachers who may be caught up in a similar kind of attempt by a council to deal with antisocial behaviour, but kind of hoovers up and deals with street preachers?
I think for us, though we won the victory in court, thankfully the law, and I want to be very, very thankful to the Christian Legal Centre who supported us all through legally. Yeah. But I'm very concerned about the damage it has caused already, because there's fear being launched across the heart of people who will have ordinarily go out there and share. So we've seen some drawing back all through this last 1 year that we've been going through this. So we need to find a way to regain that momentum and get people. And what I would say to other churches is keep your eyes on the street, keep your ears on the ground, so that you don't see anything sneaky just being done.
Because this court sort of crept up behind you and almost stopped your work.
It can be very, very sneaky, and I think that there's a systemic way to just make, to draw back Christian witnessing.
Yes, I think it sounds like a bit of an error which is rectified by the council.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Listen, Pastor Ballaghan, it's been great to have you on. Thank you for joining us today on State of the Nation. Up next is Alex Armstrong hosting Patrick Christis, who of course is in Calais. But first, here's the weather. It's a bit wet.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. It's time for your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, there will be some heavy rain across western parts of Scotland in particular. Elsewhere, a few bursts of showers, but also some dry weather to be had. Currently, low pressure firmly in control of our weather, which is why it's been quite an unsettled day, and it will stay in charge of our weather through the next couple of days as well. As I said, across western Scotland, that's where we're going to see the heaviest rain as we go overnight. Some high rainfall totals building up, perhaps as much as 70 millimetres in some places, so there could be some disruption. Also cloud and rain down the western side of England and Wales. Further east, some drier, clearer weather, but for all it is going to be a relatively warm night. Temperatures generally holding up in those mid-teens Celsius. As we start tomorrow then, across western areas, it's quite cloudy with some damp weather on offer. Though across parts of the southwest of England, some brighter spells. Sunnier though across eastern parts of England, and some brighter breaks developing across parts of Northern Ireland, but across much of Wales, northwest England and large chunks of Scotland, it's a cloudy, it's a damp start to the day, the exception being just towards the far east and northeast. Now, the heaviest rain across western Scotland, that will have started to ease by the time that we get to tomorrow morning. But nonetheless, some further wet weather is on offer as we go through much of the day, breaking up a little bit as we go into the afternoon. Elsewhere, it's quite a cloudy picture for many. Even in the east, after a bright sunny morning, it's going to turn cloudier with some showery bursts arriving. Because of the cloud, although temperatures on paper are similar to today, it's probably going to feel a little bit fresher for many of us. Looking ahead to Wednesday, and eastern parts of England, perhaps even in the southeast, there could be some heavy bursts of rain pushing their way in. Elsewhere, a bit drier, but some showers around here and there, and then a drier theme as we go towards the end of the week. And with that, after a bit of a fresher feel during the middle part of the week, temperatures should rise again. Bye-bye.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. It's 9 p.m, I'm Patrick Christie's and welcome to a very special Patrick Christie's Tonight from the epicentre of the migrant crisis. Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? So if you have a look quickly, just quickly, right?
Oh, hello everybody. We've gone where Keir Starmer can't. We've smashed the gangs.
All right, let's decide to kick off a little bit. Okay. All right. Hey, look, we just want to have a conversation with you, that's all. That's absolutely right, Alex. We have decided to smash the gangs, but the camps are bigger than ever before and the people in them are more aggressive as well. So they make a bit of noise. All right, we're going to have to get out of here. We just had glass bottles thrown at us. Yes, it's been a right day of it here. We have exposed the reality of the situation on the ground, as this clip illustrates. People say that maybe you are, in a way, like helping the human traffickers. Do you feel like maybe you are helping the human traffickers at all? I've confronted 3 human traffickers. We've got their faces on record, we've got their details, we've handed it over to French police. Also, what we've done is really raise serious questions about whether or not charity workers are entirely working for charity or maybe helping to invade Britain as well. Over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Patrick. Yes, I'm Alex Armstrong, live here from London. We're reporting with my top panel tonight, Daily Express columnist Carol Malone and Reform Party member and former MP Sir Jake Berry. That's over to you, Patrick, very shortly. Let's get started. Patrick's bringing you some bombshell footage tonight from Calais. Stay tuned after the bulletins.
Good evening. The main headlines from the GB News Centre. 15 people have been injured after a double-decker bus struck a bridge in Manchester. More than a dozen ambulances and other emergency service vehicles, including an air ambulance, converged on the scene in the Eccles area of the city. Images show the double-decker with its roof sheared off after striking the bridge. The North West Ambulance Service said it treated 15 patients who were transported to the Salford Royal Hospital and the Manchester Royal Infirmary.